So yeah, thanks so much to the Illinois Native Plant Society for the opportunity to do this work and share this work. And Cy and I want to thank also all of the volunteers and stewards at Soame Woods, where we did this work, are continuing to do this work. They helped conceive the project and do the work. The basic question we are trying to answer is, how can we help stewards control Solidago altissima, tall goldenrod, in reasonably high quality open oak woodlands? And I say reasonably high quality because the point of the study was to look at methods that are fairly targeted and time consuming, not an appropriate place to be doing broadcast herbiciding or mowing. To give some context for the quality of the site, if you're familiar with doing plant monitoring with a 1/4 meter square quadrat, so it's a 1/2 meter per side, we had on average 10 species per quadrat with a mean C of 2.8 and a floristic quality index of 9. So if you have context for that, that helps you sort of get a sense that it's pretty good quality, it's getting there. So they're trying to figure out how to control this native invasive species in a way that doesn't just blast through the whole ecosystem. And what we wanted to do is basically kind of formalize methods that they are trying and anecdotally, and see if we could get some data to help us see a little more quantitatively if it's working. And the basic methods that they're trying are, one, just let it be and see if over time the goldenrod gives way to other species. Some people in woodland contexts have found that to be the case. It's a little bit less aggressive in the woods than in the prairies. Another thing they've tried is just a lot of interseeding, just spread good stuff among the goldenrod and see if it wins out. Another thing they've tried is scything, which sounds way too much like my colleague Cy. So using a scythe to just cut individual goldenrod plants at their base and see if that gives the native plants an edge. And so we wanted to look at those features. So why am I not? There we go. So this is schematic showing our treatments. We had 4 different treatments across the top, and we replicated it 3 times in 3 different areas of the woods. So we have clipping plus seeding, seeding alone, clipping alone, or doing nothing. And also, when we got out there and started doing the scything, some of us, myself included, found that we weren't so good with the scythe. And so just getting on our knees and using hand clipper worked just as well, if not better. They both served the same purpose, which was to cut the plants at their base, so there were no leaves remaining. And the scything treatment was last year in 2020. We went out in June, and before we did any treatment, we surveyed all the plants within the circular plots, each plot being 25 square meter circle. So we took data on the plants, and then we got down on our hands and knees and cut each individual goldenrod plant, tall goldenrod, in June. And then we came back again in September, and any goldenrod plants that had resprouted, we cut them again at ground level. And then in September, we seeded species that had been collected from the spring seeding species. We came back in December, seeded again with the full suite of species. So last year we did 2 clippings and 2 seeding events to mimic what stewards are basically doing anyway. And then we took data, like I said, before we did the treatments, and then we took data again just last week after basically a year of treatment. And so again, last year, this is a picture of Cy out there. We recorded all species and their cover within 9 1/4 meter square quadrats within one of these circular plots. The circular plot is physically 5 meters across in a circle. Within the scythe treatment plots, we clipped all of the Solidago altissima. We returned in September to record the species, clipped them again, spread the seeds of the spring blooming species. Then in December, we spread the rest of the seeds. And then we returned just last week to record all the species and their cover. The main take home is that Solidago altissima was decreased And notably, the two middle bars are the ones where we scythed. And so we did decrease Solidago altissima. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not that much of a finding, you cut it. But the thing that's interesting is that the cutting persisted a year later. So this is just a picture of, we went out last week, and the top two plots, you can clearly still see the outline of our circles. You know, this is the outline of our circle. And when you're standing out there, it's just so obvious that this is where we did not cut and this is where we did cut. And down here, these are our control plots where we didn't do any cutting. So I think the most important take-home message for right now, early in this experiment, is that cutting Solidago altissima gives you a window of opportunity for at least a year where you've knocked it back and that persists, and you could, you know, potentially get in there with some seeds. We did not find any significant change in floristic quality, number of species, or any of the other measures of quality yet. I'm not sure anybody expected it to immediately show up a year later anyway, and it's been a drought year. So what we hope to do is to continue monitoring to see how long, with 1 year's cutting it twice in 1 year and not cutting it ever again, how long does the Solidago stay knocked back? And will we start to see some of our seeded species come up, and will they come up more robustly in the areas where we've also scythed? So that's the take-home message for now. Stay tuned.